Got ourselves a Skaven game. Can't go too long without casting some Skaven. We have Darth Plagueis on Nurgle versus Milky Way on the Skaven. And Darth Plagueis with the Epidemius Lord choice. Okay. Objectively incorrect, but okay. Epidemius is trash, but he did bring his Sands of Sickness for buffing up local demon units, I believe. Does that? No, that just affects anybody. Okay. And the Tallyman's Blades. Okay, so he didn't pigeonhole himself too hard onto going towards his demonic units. We do have his Tally of Pestilence for them, but provides some buffs for his other allies, and the Tallyman's summon's gonna be really good. Then Dogs, Furies for some disruption and chasing down of the Skaven cowardly units when they flee, Marauders and Nurglings, including the Frolickers Bubonic. Then we have Pox Rider Rush, 4 of them, including the Barons of the Bog. Plague Ridden of Nurgle is his caster buddy, who did bring Fleshy Abundance, Stream of Corruption, and then the Locus of Virulence ability. I hate this. I hate it, dude. I know he's bringing kind of a meme build, yada yada, whatever, but I just hate Fleshy Abundance versus the Skaven. When Nurgle has the best anti-Skaven spell in the entire game, and for some reason people just don't bring it. It's Rancid Visitations. That's literally the only spell you should bring versus Skaven. Because you can't out-heal the damage they can output. It's not going to work, but you can just Rancid Visitations ick it like twice, and then he's dead. I don't know. It's the only spell you should bring versus Skaven. It's so fucking good. Frontline for the Skaven, Storm Vermin Halberds and Skaven Slave Spears mixed throughout. We have Natty Boobo Sharpshooters, the Avalanche Mortars, a couple Poison Globes, a couple Skaven Slave Slingers, some Clan Rats, and Rat Ogres. Claw leading them, as I mentioned before, with his not Fleshy Abundance, Flensing Ruin and Howling Warp Gale, unlimited power and Brass Orb to give him a little bit of buffing. Howling Warp Gale not in time to stop the Chaos Furies from getting on the Avalanche Mortars. A couple of them do land and cause disruption there. Meanwhile, the Barons of the Bog are already demonic at stability crumbling from the shock damage the Skaven can bring, and their dogs are getting pushed off by globes. It's a pretty rough start for Nurgle. Most people have a rough start versus the Skaven. Skaven are really good at putting out a lot of DPS quickly. But then it's, can they hold on to their lead is always the question, as the Frolickers Bubonic are very close to demonic instability crumbling, but holding on for now. And the Furies did manage to get in there, did shut down the Avalanche Mortars, pushing that very expensive weapons team off for now. If those guys leave the box, they will be easy pickings for these dogs and what remains of the Furies. But not all over for the Skaven. They only lost one weapons team, as a nice Brass Orb is going to get a lot of damage under another Chaos Fury. A lot of demonic instability crumbling is hitting Nurgle all at the same time, and that's a big problem for Epidemius, and why I generally think he's one of the worst lords in the game, is his intensity is charging up now for his thing that only affects demons, and most of his demons at this point are dead. A lot of them are dead. So you have your demon charge up thing for one Pox Rider, one Nurgling, another Pox Rider, another Nurgling. About it though. Exalted Plague Bears are a summon, they'll be gone soon. And Flensing Ruin overcasting both the single entities of Nurgle is pretty nasty. Looks like Epidemius is trying to separate from his Plague Ridden, but then gives up on it, decides just to move forward anyway. Ickit looks like he's maybe trying to save the Avalanche Mortars. Gonna give up on it as well in return, but he just wants to stay safe, stay away from Epidemius and cast Flensing Ruin on repeat. Wait out this Plague Bearer summon, kill off the Nurglings, get these globes somewhere safe, and then you'll generally be okay if you can just kite this game out from this point. Natty Boo Sharpshooters are back. They can turn around. Probably want the Sharpshooters to be shooting at Barons of the Bog, Pox Riders, any other fast stuff, though the Barons faded away, didn't they? Yeah, they're gone. So Natty Boobos just need to kill these guys. I wouldn't shoot at Epidemius. Just leave him. Leave him for Ickit and Flensing Ruins to deal with. Just because. You know there's going to be a lot of healing. Nurgle brought Fleshy Abundance. They also have their tier 2 army ability. Just take out all the demonic units. Make this battle really narrow. Like 2 single entities on their toilet seats trying to grind through your whole army. And then Flensing Ruin plus Natty Boobos can kill them from there. But if you kill the mobility, Natty Boobos are safe to fire the rest of the game. He is trying to fire at the Plague Ridden. It's just not going to work though. You can see the Fecundity's already healing them both up. Dogs and Marauders chasing various things off the map. Ickit is vibing in the corner, waiting for his next Flensing Ruin to come up. Does get another nice Brass Orb down on Nurglings and Marauders. And globes are pushed away. Now we do still have some Storm Vermin holding the front line against the Nurglings, who are twirling and flarling around. Storm Vermin aren't loving that exchange. Like, they'll win, but they won't win cost effectively for a unit that's a third of their cost. You know, anti-large armor-piercing halberd versus lightly armored infantry-sized demon. Not ideal. Slingers are away and firing in. Meanwhile, dogs, though, are going to catch the globes and then probably the slingers next. Globes trying to get a little bit of damage out onto these pox riders. Sands of Sickness and Locals of Virulence giving them some better melee stats, but who cares? Skaven not really contesting those guys in melee anyway, so it's fine. Lots of melee buffs for Nurgle, though, and dogs did catch the Natty Booba sharpshooters, so those guys are going to be gone for good this time. Ikit comes in, nice big Flensing Ruin onto both single entities, and then a bonus of Nurglings and Pox Riders, but mostly that spell damages single entities as Epidemius. And the Plague Ridden just gonna sit in that awful, awful ring of damage. Halberds run in, get hit with a Stream of Corruption in the face, but they still are in a good situation. We have two Nurglings that are about to crumble. One is actually crumbling, the other one is really thinking about it, so the Halberds will soon just get to fight Pox Riders or the Toilet Seats, which is what they want to be dealing with. Ikit helped rout off some Chaos Warhounds, and now Slingers are going to make sure that keeps running away, and the Skaven have a pretty significant lead on the balance of power. I don't think Nurgle is going to be able to heal their way out of this one. If they have a Fleshy Abundance, it should probably be used onto the Pox Riders at this point, since they're your only hope of catching the various ranged forces, but it doesn't look like that's going to be the case, as now Slingers and Poison Wind Globes are going to do enough damage to get those guys' Demonic Instability crumble soon. As they charge downhill into Clan Rat's spears, they get distracted by Rat Ogres, lose their charge, and now the Skaven are just swarming in. Awful lot of Skaven friendly fire going to come in soon, but I honestly do think it's worth it to take out the Pox Riders before they get a nice big juicy heal, and your units are so tattered anyway that, as you can see, they're going to shatter regardless. You might as well get that damage out. Do have Marauders coming in that the Globes will have to deal with. But for now, they really just want to get those Pox Riders. So Slingers should shoot at the Pox Riders. Globes should be shooting at those Marauders. Marauders are a little bit shielded. And also just the Globes aren't as good at hitting those spread out Pox Riders as they would be on the clumped up Marauders. But the final Brass Orb of Ikit plus Globes plus Slingers should take out the Marauders. And now Ikit's just going to kite out Epidemius and his Plague Ridden. Epidemius is getting a Fleshy Abundance, but it's at the same time another Flensing Ruin's going to hit him. And there's his heal cap, so at least we have our target eventually. Epidemius does have pretty good melee stats, much better than Ikit, so Ikit's going to have to be careful and kite this out rather than ever fight Epidemius 1v1. Plague Ridden also has better combat stats than Ikit when he's buffed up by his Locus of Virulence, as we can see here. That might be temporary. When it wears off, he's pretty half-assed, so Ikit can maybe take this fight for a bit. As Globes! Oh, Globes are just nuking these Skaven Slave Slingers. That's a bit of an oopsie from the Skaven. I get the temptation to get your damage out while you can from your ranged units, but like while you had a full health Skaven Slave, just like blocking for Ikit, doesn't seem like the right time. Sands of Sickness is down, more melee buffs against Ikit, and Ikit's now going to roll away, get away from Epidemius and the Plague Ridden, which is fine. And now the Globes are trying to reposition, but the Toilet Seats are after them. Slingers need to just stand and fire as long as they can. Nurgle does have some Marauders fighting some Skaven Slaves, so they should win that, but Ikit could go over there and rout those guys pretty easily. And again, he's just playing for time. He needs to cast unlimited power on cooldown, get as much Winds of Magic as he can, throw down Flensing Ruins on these two, and call it a day. It was a good idea, actually, to try and snipe out the Plague Ridden, because my brain just thinks of Nurgle Lords as casters, but if he killed the Plague Ridden when Ikit charged him, which he was trying to do, there would be no more Fleshy Abundances for Epidemius, and then he has to rely on just Fecundities, which are going to be few and far between. So, I get it. That could have been a good pick, but the Plague Ridden is better than Ikit in sustained melee combat, so it just wasn't meant to be. Slinger's still going to poke him down. Ikit's kiting out. And Globes are coming over after dealing with those Marauders. Nurgle's officially down to 2, meaning it's just these two. I'm going to fast forward for a bit, because this is not going to be quick, as Ikit once again charges the Plague Ridden, goes for Flensing Ruin onto him, and then if Epidemius wants to fight, if he wants to 2v1 against Ikit, he's going to have to come into the Flensing Ruin, so I don't hate that. Just really trying to burst down the Plague Ridden before another Fleshy Abundance can come out. It looks like Nurgle sees the writing on the wall. He's not going to get another Fleshy Abundance out, so he does use the Stream of Corruption to shatter those Poison Wind Globes. Demonic Instability takes out the Plague-ridden Ikit. It goes to 1 leadership right next to the edge of the map. He needs to get away from this white line as quickly as possible. 1 leadership again, so close to routing, and if he does, the game is over. But he gets to the correct side of Epidemius, so now even if he routes, he will continue to run away. He'll be fine. You have Slingers throwing downhill into Epidemius, who's at 2,000 HP. Ikit's only at 1,800 HP, but there's no reason Ikit should ever end up in melee again. What are we doing? Why? Why are we in melee right now? Run, bro! You don't need to be here. This is conquest. You can just go take the point. There's no reason for you to engage as Epidemius is whooping Ikit's ass. Oh god, this gave him with a historic throw. Down to less than 1,000 HP. Didn't do very much to Epidemius. There's the Flensing Ruin. Okay, the Skaven are still probably gonna win. Probably. Ikit, no, dude, just win, bro. You don't need to fight him. Why are you doing this? Epidemius gets down to 1,000 HP, but Ikit gets down to 600. Epidemius is gonna get another swing at him. He manages to miss. Ikit routes, which that route is gonna save the Skaven the game, as the balance of power is heavily in Nurgle's favor, which is some BS. As demonic, look at this. Demonic instability is killing Epidemius right now, and the game's like, I don't know. He could clutch it out. Spoilers, he can't. Or can he? Gets up to 9 leadership from charging. There we go. He's going to start crumbling again as the charging leadership bonus wears off. Skaven Slave Slingers hold their ground. And Ikit, trying as hard as he can to lose, cannot make his Skaven Slave Slingers suck and die. For the Skaven, Ikit got great value. Ranged units got pretty good value. Avalanche Mortars got shut down quite quickly. And that's that. Now, aside for Darth Plagueis, Epidemius didn't do very much, because if Ikit hadn't opted into him, he'd be like 400 damage value less, so he would have been like 800 damage value Lord, and that's why I rate him as one of the worst Lords in the game. But when Ikit just decides to 1v1 you at the very end, then sure, you'll get some value, but part of the reason I think you're a bad Lord is he didn't have to do that. Dogs did very well, Furies did pretty well, Pox Riders, pretty underwhelming stuff, so... Yeah, Epidemius and the Pox Riders, the 2 units I generally think are bad, did not do very well. The rest of the Nurgle units did fine. GG's. Roar. Subscribe, yes.